Rated T, Sierra Entertainment proudly presents Empire Earth 3, Charge Through the Ages. Command your empire. Conquer the Earth. Visit EmpireEarth.com. Empire Earth 3, available now for the PC.
Confirming weekends for over 2 years, folks. That's right. Already got a grimace from Andrew. It's the One Up Yours show for Friday, January the 11th. I'm Garnet Lee here with a wholly different cast to start this CES wrap-up One Up Yours. It's me, Patrick Klepek, who was with us in Vegas.
Hola.
Matt Leone, who was also with us in Vegas.
Hola.
And David Ellis, who was reading all the news and keeping up on the blog stuff back here in the HQ, in the CIC.
What's up, kids?
Hey, everyone. So
CTU.
CTU CIC HQ. Can we get that all down?
Sure.
All right.
And Shane will be joining us.
Yeah, well, Shane's going to come in for the second segment, which is going to be news. And boy, we have a lot of news. And with all the Sony news that was flying around between CES and their blog and all that, we had to bring him in so we could, maybe snipe him a little bit. And I'm sure he'll be doing the Blu-ray win. Anyway.
And he won't be wrong for once.
I like having Matt.
Wait.
I think I like having Matt on. Anyway, So a simple show today. First segment, we're going to just talk about CES. We're going to talk about what we played, what we saw, what was going down. Second segment, we're going to do that news thing. So where should we start? What was the most interesting thing that we saw at CES?
Soul Calibur.
Yeah, it had to be Soul Calibur. You didn't get to see it.
I know, I wasn't there. You guys got to stay the extra day. I was too hungover to go to Soul Calibur anyway, but you guys got to see it and it was playable.
So before we talk about playing it, I want to know, what was the response to the two characters? Back here. I mean, you guys were reading about it. We were there at the event, so we didn't get to read the immediate response. What was the response like?
I think it was unanimously interesting. It comes pretty much out of left field, but I think Soul Calibur at this point, after the last iteration, people expect it's going to be something wacky. I think it's a poor decision to split the characters onto two different consoles when we're not talking about proprietary characters, which is the whole reason it was split last time.
Right.
But I think it's a really interesting decision, and I don't think it's a stretch for people to have magical lightsabers in the Soul Calibur universe. And anyone, just because they're from a different IP, it fits within the universe's constructs, and I think it's just a fun fanboy service, and I don't see anything wrong with it.
There's a few things here. First, you need, if you're Namco, you need a filter to make sure that people can avoid using them online if they don't want to, which, DOA could have used. But then you also need downloadable options for people later on. If they, maybe you give them 3 months of exclusivity in order to kind of justify their purchase, but then, let them play with everybody together.
That's a cool idea. I like that.
So it's kind of we don't know how cool it's going to be.
They're novelty characters anyway. It's not like you're going to sit down to play serious and play with one of those characters. No one sat down seriously with Soul Calibur 3 and said, I'm going to break out Link and show you my skills.
And yet I bet 10 times people played as Link of who played everybody else.
Possibly, because most people sit down and play these play fighters for fun anyway. I mean, it's not many folks, I don't think, sit down in the complete hardcore mindset of playing a fighter. It's more like you get together with your buddies, you have some fights, and have a good time.
And I don't have the time, I don't have the patience, nor do I care to learn how to play these fighting games with, to learn all their depth. So when you add stuff like this is why I always really liked the Tekken series, because the Tekken series had loads and loads of stupid, dumb, fun, unlockable characters. I got to fight as a fucking panda. That's awesome. And the fact that they're bringing these in, I hope that this is maybe just the start of several announcements for them for the game. It makes it more interesting for me because it's fun to just stick around with my friends to play as these types of characters when at the end of the day, I'm only going to learn a handful of moves that I'm going to use over and over. I'm not going to sit and learn the whole back and forth in a parry system. And this plays to those people and is coming at bringing a hardcore game to the casuals in a different way than maybe Street Fighter 4 is doing it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's just another example where they're trying to increase a shrinking user base for fighting games worldwide, and bringing Star Wars characters into it are going to make people that wouldn't necessarily be interested in it at all might pick it up just so they can see Darth Vader or Yoda fight.
It's kind of weird that they're in Soul Calibur and not Smash Brothers.
That's interesting to me, too. I mean, they would be kind of really natural to have in there and goof around with. I think the thing for hardcores is that if you sit down and play Soul Calibur, you play your character. It's like, if I sit down and play seriously, I'm going to play Zhang Shuai because that's who I play. I mean, that's who I've always played. I'm familiar with her style. I've built up an idea of where her movesets are. Even when they move around the control combos, I still have an idea in my head of how I want to play her. And the same thing goes for like whoever anyone's character is. It's not like they're going to choose Darth Vader as their big character.
Right. It's just like something
Everyone
fun
else
when
can
you're
have fun with it.
Yeah, you just goof around. So if your friends come over and like, I just want someone to bat around with, like you'll pick your character and your friend will pick Yoda or Darth Vader, and all of your moves are still going to apply, but they'll have a little bit more fun because they don't have to worry about the fact that they don't have that whole complete moveset available to them mentally.
So Matt and I both got to play it, and
but not with Yoda and Vader.
Yeah, but not with Yoda and Vader. They had. Oh, by the way, you asked about characters. So not that it really is any indication, but I mean, take this for what you will. The character selection screen on which there were the 3 characters we could play in the demo had 32 total boxes. So, I mean, that would be a big roster for Soul Calibur 4.
How many have they announced so far?
How many
roughly?
Probably about 10. I haven't done the math, but yeah, there have been.
There's still a substantial amount yet.
There would be
announced.
a substantial. I mean, there could even be some more surprise cameo characters to fill out a roster of 32.
It'd be cool. It'd be cool if that was their
roster.
approach. Take the like the old school Tekken approach and just start including a lot of these guest characters. Because I think if with the less focus on arcades, especially in the arcade market, if they can bring that sort of eventual unlocking to the console games, I think that's really fun because that's what's going to I find that really fun. Like I like playing through each of the characters, going through the single player storyline, not really caring about the story, but knowing at the end like I get a cool CG cutscene and I get a new character that I get to dick around with it. For me, who's not a fighting game aficionado, that's what's appealing about those games is other than just playing with friends casually, is having an experience like that. Solo, and I don't think there is a lot of that today.
Would you want to see like a time release like they used to do in arcades, but online?
I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be really neat if there was some sort of time release structure that was linked to
So describe
PSN.
what you mean by time release.
Like every few weeks or a week or whatever, a new character just automatically gets released. Ideally, that you wouldn't pay for.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, ideally, it's each of those slots isn't DLC, but it would be cool if it was just all right. Well, we've unlocked this character. Download the unlocking code, and it goes from there.
It's kind of weird because people who don't want to play online, they don't get those characters, so it could unbalance it in that sense.
And maybe there would be a way that you could go on unlocking both. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could approach it, but I think introducing, Street Fighter's going at it from going back to the core mechanics, the core characters. I think there's also another way that Namco can do it with Soul Calibur in introducing these guest characters, and I think that does increase the casual presence. And maybe this is indicative that we're going to see a lot of licensed characters. I mean, look what Smash Brothers has done, introducing Snake, Sonic.
It's interesting you say that because when I first heard this, I was like, okay, that's it. Because last time we saw one round of announcements, and that's it. It didn't even occur to me that there could be another character, but who knows?
This version has a new game director, and then the game director has come from a history of working on the Soul Calibur projects throughout its history. And from what we played, it seems that he's very much tinkering with the balance in the fighting system. So some of the things that I noticed were that the guard impact window was back to being a much smaller window, and it seemed to be varied between the 3 characters. There's a little bit different timing that you had to get down with each of them.
Which 3 could you play at the CES
so you
demo?
could play Taki, you could play Cassandra, and you could play Mitsurugi.
Okay. Yeah.
And of them, Mitsurugi, and the balancing wasn't in yet. I mean, Mitz in this,
he
was super powerful.
Right.
When you put him into his back stance where he's holding his sheath, some of the moves coming out of that were just devastating. Cassandra was very interesting. They had really brought in, and I picked up on this maybe because I'm a Zhang Shua player, they really brought in a lot of additional flourishes and a much more stylistic combat for her, so she's feeling less and less like Sophia. I mean, really, you see the similarities in the style of the shield and the sword and the wardrobe, but she's definitely getting a more distinct personality. I mean, that's where they've always started. First they'll do the 2 characters who are basically modeled off of each other, and then they start to figure out which way to take the new one to make it different.
And it kind of sounds like you are very interested in this series, and you know what guard impact is. I don't know what that means, but Matt, are you? Yeah, are you hardcore too? Did you ever?
I wouldn't call myself hardcore with it. I mean, I know it's roughly the same things that Garnet did.
So the other thing I noticed a lot is that, and I'm also a sidestepper, which is that's part and parcel of playing Zhang Shua a lot, is that there was a lot more what I call ground tracking, where a move would be coming at you, and as you started to sidestep, the move would stay lined up on you and come around to match wherever you were if you were sidestepping, which is that'll change the dynamic of the game a lot. That makes blocking considerably more important, because if you're a heavy sidestepper and suddenly you can't sidestep out of stuff, you have to start using other ways of balancing out, dealing with someone's attack. And Soul Calibur's always been an attack heavy game. I think a lot of people leveled the complaint at 3 that it was overly attack weighted, that just if you could get a fierce combo going, you could just annihilate someone. And I think they're taking some obviously, not obviously, but to me it feels like the direction here is to swing it back a little bit more towards a core base. Maybe I mean, call it hardcore if you want, but more towards making it a fighting game that you'll invest more time into. I think people have invested more time in 2 and 1 and learning those.
It sounded like 3 was kind of a misstep for the hardcore. I found it was.
Have you played them, Dave?
Actually, I haven't played much since the first Soul Calibers. So.
Why? Same thing?
Well, I mean, I kind of lost interest in fighting games in general. It's not a knock on them. It's not really my thing anymore. Although I honestly, because of the inclusion of Darth Vader and Yoda, I probably will pick this one up.
So this is a instant big benefit for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Star Wars geek, so yeah, sure, why not?
Cool. Anything else, Matt? I mean, we looked at it, and visually, it's not going to be out until this summer, so I think they have a way to go. The backgrounds, there were some of them that looked kind of low-res-ish, but I have every reason to expect they'll bring that up.
I mean, yeah, just the graphics in general look pretty nice. I don't think they're quite as nice as the screenshots, but
I think what I detected was that they'd spent a lot of effort on the character models, and the character models are really cool. Especially Mitsurugi had all kinds of ornamentation. I mean, I don't know what else to call it.
I was going to say,
he's got like this rope knot that, like, well, Matt's immediately like, oh, look at that rope knot, yeah.
Are Cassandra's breasts still like abnormally large?
No, but Taki is now officially in the DOA Extreme Beach Volleyball clan.
I need to tone that down.
It's absurd.
It's actually slightly offensive how disgusting
it's
it is.
Extremely offensive.
Yeah, it's
in
offensive.
The game,
yeah. I mean, she's all over the place. It looks completely silly. Hers wasn't that interesting. I mean, it really stood out in Mitsurugi's outfit, and also stood out in Cassandra's. I mean, there's just an awful lot of detailing. The character models look really, really, really good. The animations looked really fantastic.
I heard there was real-time physics on the clothing.
It looks that way. It definitely looks that way. I mean, it was really impressive the way, like, Mitsu has that. I don't know. You see it on Samurais though. The around your waist, you have like that adorned kilt-looking thing.
Yeah.
I don't even know, what do you call that anyway. You know what I'm talking about, the kilt that lays over.
Yeah, I get the idea.
And it was moving around completely the way you would expect it to, the right way. Taki was really cool. Like in her teleport move now has like it looks like a teleport. It like blinks in and out for a second, and then moves her up in the top corner of the screen with like a little purple electricity, and it's very interruptible. So if you catch, like, it's not quite so overpowering. If you catch someone right when they start to blink out, you can interrupt their teleport, which is pretty cool. Anyway, we had a lot of fun with it. I'm totally looking forward. I mean, obviously,
it sounds really good. Yeah, and
I love Soul Calibur, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it sounds like they're kind of going back to the roots, and the Star Wars announcement is going to rope in some people like David, some people like myself who are very casual, maybe would play it around the office, but now I might be more interested in picking it up just because it sounds like fun.
My big mea culpa is last year at this time I said I didn't need a Soul Calibur 4. This year I say I fucking need that Soul Calibur 4. Bring it on now.
But, I mean, Soul Calibur wasn't the only game that we saw at CES. But I think it would be our general consensus that gaming wasn't really a big deal at CES.
Well, it really faded into the background this time. I mean, you walk into the Microsoft booth, and last year they had all those 360s set up, and there was a couple of stealth unveilings there. For instance, the first time we got to play the 2K baseball game was on the show floor there. This time, not even a single 360.
Yeah, that's the first thing when I walked in. I walked over. I went to Sony's booth, went to Microsoft's booth. It was the first things I wanted to hit. And Sony, even to them, they didn't really have much in the way of. They had a couple of PSP setups. They were showing off Skype support. They had, of course, Metal Gear Solid 4 set up. It was the same demo from E for All, but that was a huge part of their booth. But yeah, Microsoft did not even have a single Xbox 360 demo set up in their booth. They had that in a separate press tent off of the site, and then. They had maybe the HD DVD thing set up, but it was pretty much downplayed.
Well, you guys went to the Xbox 360 meeting then on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean we had an Xbox like arcade demo. Well, they showed us Load Runner, which they're bringing back. It's a brand new from the ground up version of the game. It looks very Prince of Persia, the remake that went on Xbox Live Arcade last year. Yeah. It's very much in that vein. It's the same gameplay concepts. It's really not altering the formula too much. It just has a very slick 3D look. And the one thing they are doing, which is pretty cool, is they're introducing a multiplayer element to every single mode in the game. So if you're playing any of the single player modes, it varies on how many people can play. It's either 2 to 4 or something like that. But every single mode has at least some sort of co-op element to it, which it's very interesting. So then I'm not really big. I've never played Load Runner before. Like I've played it in the past. Like, I think everyone's played Load Runner at some point. maybe it wasn't the most memorable thing in the world, but I think everyone's played Roadrunner at some point.
And maybe not the most memorable for some of us who are console gamers. There's a big contingent of PC gamers for who.
It's a much bigger PC franchise than it is
for
console.
them, Loadrunner it's maybe akin to like a Space Invaders. It's like this old classic game that you spent all this time with and you loved, and it had a straightforward system to it, and you could just get into the game mechanic of it. So, did you get to play it?
Oh, we didn't get to play it. They ran through a couple of the modes for us.
So they played it for you?
Yeah. I mean, Matt was there with me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know Loadrunner worth shit. So.
I mean, it looked good. If
you're for two guys who didn't know Loadrunner, would you be interested?
It looked intriguing enough that I would download the trial version. And then the other game they showed us, what I think was much more interesting, I think both to Matt and I, and David also played it, was what was it called?
Puzzle Smash. We've heard of this before, but this is the first time we'd ever actually really spent some time with it.
Puzzle Smash.
No, it was Poker's.
Oh, Poker. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I keep getting the name confused with Puzzle Quest.
I can understand your confusion.
The number of times I've spelled it like Poker Smash or
Poker Quest.
Quest. Yeah, it's so confusing, but whatever. It's a good game. It's basically a Tetris or whatever, blocks raising puzzle game.
It's Planet Puzzle League, but instead of the colored blocks, you have playing cards. So you're making the best hand you can.
Yes.
So you're interchanging the pieces on the board that are sliding up just like a Puzzle Fighter or Planet Puzzle League game, but instead of sliding them to match different colors, you're matching 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind of the playing cards on the deck, so to speak, as it's going up. And you can also do Full House and all that, and pretending like you can play the game 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, 5 of a kind, but the way to master it is to start learning the more complex hands and using that to start setting up chains. And it was only developed by 2 guys. This is 2 guys that Microsoft worked with to develop this title, and they did it all by themselves, did all the coding by themselves. Microsoft just kind of helped them along, and it's coming out fairly soon, I think.
That's that's cool. I wish I had seen that now. I need to get a demo up of that.
It's on PartnerNet.
It's on PartnerNet, so you can check it out.
I'm totally going to check that out this week, because that sounds really cool. Because I could just imagine, I mean, the imagination of what it would take to start setting up blocks to fall together, and then you start to go, wow, you got to really get the logic down. I want to see Shane do this. Because Shane, Planet Puzzle League, dude, he's a demon on that game.
We'll see, but your skills in Planet Puzzle League will only take you so far as understanding 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind. The mastery of the game is understanding
flushes.
Exactly.
Flushes, straights, full houses.
You get like incredibly large bonuses based on what hand you make with the cards.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're playing it, like on the right hand side, it'll come up with certain objectives that it'll ask you to do certain things, and it gives you a window of 10 to 15 seconds to use what you have, try and do this objective. It's like, okay, do 5 of a kind, like try and set that up very quickly, and if you miss it, it doesn't hurt your game, but you don't get the bonuses.
Right, it basically drops chips and says, hey, if you can do this, you get these chips to add to your bonus.
Oh, cool, so it starts to bring in the whole game. Dude, that's awesome. This is a really cool game.
It's very cool.
It's a very unique concept in that you would think that there are no new puzzle concepts at this point, and that a game like Planet Puzzle League is the epitome of that sort of.
Well, it's not really new. They're taking it. What they're doing is they're taking an already established format for a puzzle that
they're
works,
a very unique
and they're just
adding a really cool tweak to it that makes sense. A whole new system of combinations to put into it that adds more layers, because it's not just one set of bring colors together. It's don't just bring colors together, but maybe you can bring suits together, or maybe bring numbers together. There's all these different options. That's really smart.
It's very cool. It's very exciting. And one of the other cool things that they showed us in our demo at CES was that you can record video of your player sessions and then upload them. So they showed like the representatives that were showing us the game weren't particularly good at the game, but they're like, let us show you what an expert player on PartnerNet has already uploaded to the service. And they showed us this ridiculously good guy setting up all of these chains. There's explosions happening everywhere, and I know I will never ever be as good as that guy, but it shows you the potential of somebody that is thinking on another level and like planning 3 moves ahead. I'm never able to do that in those games, but this guy was, and there's just such a unique sort of depth to the game that isn't available in even a game as refined as Planet Puzzle League, and I think people are really going to get a kick out of it when it comes out.
Yeah, and then one of the things I noticed while messing with it, like the online component is huge. You have a real-time banner that shows you the high scores of people that of the day, people that are currently playing, stuff like that. So.
Is there any multiplayer element to it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's the same thing. They introduce it's the same concept of Planet Puzzle League or Puzzle Fighter, where as you get combos, it sends garbage,
So you
which
drop,
is more.
So you drop cards.
Right.
on
Drop
the-
cards,
Oh,
right.
that's even cooler.
Yeah. And you can trigger these things where you slow the speed of the cards moving up, or you can even speed them up in certain situations.
Yeah.
So, and you have like these bars that recharge.
And
so
you can drop bombs, and
Yeah.
it's too much.
There is a lot going on in this game. It was only made by 2 people. It wasn't developed under the XNA tools I was asking about. This was just 2 guys on their own, got some approval from Microsoft, and it looks phenomenal for what it is, and I'm really excited to try it again.
Definitely looking forward to it.
Continuing the casual games goodness on Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah, definitely. This is
See, I almost don't even consider it a casual game. It's like
Yeah.
it is, and it's not at the same time. It kind of
You can enjoy it on
line.
both levels,
Yeah.
I mean, you can enjoy it just as a casual experience, but if you're a hardcore puzzle fan,
right.
you're going to really get into
The hardcore are going to go for that thing like Patrick was talking about, like trying to sort out the 3 or 4 level moves ahead, which in this game is going to be. I'll be honest. That's probably past what I'll want to invest in. I'll play it. For fun,
You're just going to be happy. I mean, I remember when Matt played it when we were in the demo, and he got a couple of like awesome moves, and like, oh man, you're already getting the hand of it, and Matt's like, I don't know what the fuck I just did. Like,
Well, by the end of it, I was just like literally messing around just to see if doing it at random
kind of
would
like
get me anything,
in
like Medios.
in Medios when you just when you start scribbling on the screen. Matt was just getting through.
I was seeing how well that worked. It worked okay.
Yeah.
All right. What else did you do while you were there?
Well, I mean, there just really wasn't that much. I watched the Metal Gear Solid 4 demo. That's all we saw in the Xbox Live Arcade demo. They showed us those 2 games.
It always had huge crowds at Metal Gear.
Yeah, there was always, but it was wrapping up the Xbox Live Arcade meeting. Yeah, there wasn't anything else. They brought with Rez if we wanted to see it. We'd already seen it, but they seem to be saving most of their announcements for GDC, which I've been basically told before that this is where they're going to bring in the XNA game tools onto Xbox Live Arcade. So instead of right now, if you do XNA games, if you develop something using Microsoft's XNA tools, you have to go through this really convoluted process to get it to work on your Xbox and to download those games. What they're going to be announcing at GDC, as far as I can tell, is a portal for people to upload their games in development, get
Like
instant
YouTube.
feedback, and essentially becoming the YouTube of user-generated games that they've been promising since basically XNA got started. And I think we're going to hear about that at GDC, and I think that's where we're going to hear more Xbox Live announcements. Microsoft in general was really reserved at CES. The rumor on the show floor and what we had heard before was that Warner Brothers backing Blu-ray exclusivity may have put a damper on an announcement that Microsoft was maybe going to do related to a new SKU. But which would have been fantastic because we don't already have enough of those. But like when we went to Bill Gates' keynote, and Microsoft really didn't have much to announce in ways of their Xbox line. They announced a couple of Xbox Live video partnerships. I can download Lost now on the video marketplace.
You look thrilled. You look absolutely thrilled.
Well, I will say it is nice because the Lost Blu-ray box set costs $120. That if I can buy individual episodes, that does actually make me fairly excited. But
and in your sync, you don't just have to play Artist Corn. You can also play Cars. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I don't know. Like, I was disappointed, but at the same time, I've never been to CES before. I don't know if I should have been disappointed. I think a lot of people were expecting, with E3 having been kind of a downer in terms of the grand announcements. Now, maybe that CES was going to pick up some of the slack, but. There was no evidence of that, and all the companies we met with, made no indication that was ever in their plans.
Well, there's also a historical element here. It seems like every year before Bill Gates' CES announcement, some rumors floated within a couple of days before he goes on that there's going to be this huge announcement, and every year nothing happens. So this really isn't anything new.
No, and I would say, if anything, this year, although the Bill Gates last day of work video was, YouTube cute, the rest of the press conference was the keynote was pretty blah.
Wow. Yeah.
It's okay, Surface. Yeah, I've seen that the last couple of CESs. Okay, nothing new there. Sync, that's great. Yes, I've seen your ad. That's fantastic. I thought they underemphasized one thing they had that was cool, which is Zune. I've promoted Zune before on the show and listened to everyone take my lumps on it, but I think the new devices are cool. I think the new software is good, and although it's been out there for a long time and people are going to immediately say, yeah, dumbass, it's been there for forever, over the holidays I figured out exactly how easy it is to use the Zune software to get the music on my PC playing through my 360.
Right.
It's stupidly easy.
Yeah.
It's like you
can also do videos through that as well.
Yeah, the free Zune software you run it, it identifies all your music libraries. Even if you have iTunes or whatever else, you can still have it sitting there. And so now when I go home, I turn on the laptop that has all the music on it and leave it sitting in the other room. And when I listen to music, I turn on 360 and surf to the music surf to the media bar, and away you go with the visualizer.
Well, and I think with the Gates keynote, I think what I took away from it in retrospect was that he seemed to be talking a lot about his philosophies and like long-term visions for what he's seeing for Microsoft. So, even though we were seeing kind of repeat demos, it kind of seemed like it was a keynote. He's like, this is Microsoft in the next 5 to 10 years. He's still going to be involved. He's always going to be the face of Microsoft. But I don't think it would have made much sense for Gates to come out there and drop some bomb about some new product that Microsoft's going to do. That maybe that was the place last year for him to do that when he's going to be around to talk about it. But I think it was natural to expect that maybe there's going to be a big announcement, but I don't think it makes any sense for Microsoft to be trotting out Gates to do some new product unveil when he's not going to be around.
He's not going to see it through.
Yeah, he's not going to see it through. He's going to be around on board meetings. He'll always be there for the launch of the new OS to get the free press, but that's really not his position anymore.
Okay, and it's not like that's really an isolated sort of incident. Even if you went over to the Sony booth, there was, like you said, Metal Gear Solid from E for All, but they weren't showing off, they weren't showcasing anything great.
Well, they had Little Big Planet, which is totally awesome and totally horrible for a trade show presentation.
Well, they had it in a theater. What I was saying is they
had a theater, but they also had it playable. So
they did? I didn't know that. I missed that.
But it's the kind of game that you need to sit with for a couple hours before it becomes really good. You can't just start with a blank slate and play for 5 minutes and kind of figure out how cool it is.
Who played with it?
I messed
Matt
with it.
Yeah.
What'd you think, dude? I'm totally gung-ho for that. I didn't realize it was playable. Hell, I would have made every effort to get there.
But, personally, I kind of have an issue with the controls of the game itself, like the way you control the characters. I think that jumping and kind of moving around is a little bit too sluggish. But I think everything else is awesome. Like, I think the way that you can implement or draw trees and, make your blocks of any shape you want and just do whatever, I think that stuff all works really well.
Did this demo have enemies? I had heard it did.
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, not that you could really put into the game, like what... No, it didn't. So,
okay. Well, we should see that soon. But Little Big Planet. It was a strange show. Metal Gear Solid 4 makes perfect sense to show off at CES. It's coming in the next couple of months. But I was surprised there wasn't at least just a row of this is PS3 in 2008, considering how much they were showing.
I wasn't surprised because the whole
else.
theme of their booth was innovation, and here's what's coming next on the creative side. So what else are they going to show? Home, maybe? Home would have been cool to show.
Home would have been cool.
That would have really tied in well to their consumer
that is
market.
a tech demo,
but
at least right now.
I think we all know that they're saving most of the home stuff for GDC.
I'm sure they are, yeah.
So I got to go back to LBP because we just got past that way too fast. I was super hyped for that game. Since you've actually played it, I want to know your take on, do you think more people will play it as a game that they hop into and play other people's levels, or do you think that there's really something to get drawn into there as far as creating stuff?
I think it depends how good the levels end up being, because right now the way it's being shown, it seems like it's just going to be something where you drop in and start messing around. But that's also because every time we've played it, they've dropped us in and let us mess around. We haven't really had the option to jump into one of their levels, or at least a significant one. So it's going to be, it's going to be hard to say until we see what's in the final release.
Because there's going to be, I think, 50 developer-made levels in the final release. That's what they were advertising at CES.
Something like that.
And I think what I'm hoping is that maybe if GDC is where they're holding this stuff, maybe we're going to get closer to seeing the beta or alpha or whatever it is they're going to give us before the fall retail release. Because they really need to show us. I really want to see more about how they're going to handle the user-generated content. How are they? Because what's so crucial and what is one of the problems with Unreal Tournament is finding the content. What is the good content? Right now, that is up to the user, and that is a mistake. That allows the hardcore. They're going to go out and search for the fan sites that have organized things, which is what Epic's dropped the ball, Sony's dropped the ball. There were these big grandiose plans for user-generated content in UT3, and it's there, and now they've patched the tools, but it's finding the content. It's getting the content onto the PS3 that has been left in the hands of the users. As we found out 2 weeks ago, you can download Unreal Tournament 3 mods through the PS3's web browser, but Epic claimed you couldn't, but you actually can. You just need to tinker with the settings on your memory stick ahead of time. So what I'm really interested with Little Big Planet is how they're going to handle the distribution, the rating system, because that is so crucial for that game surviving.
It's got to be seamless, right? It has to be seamless.
They showed a video kind of in part of their presentation that showed showed off a little bit of what those menus are going to look like. But it's the kind of thing that's impossible to tell until you actually have the game and in practice that you are going to know.
I think they'll hit that part. What I'm most interested to find out about is how many tools they have available, not just to create stuff in the game, but to create things to do with the stuff. Like whether it be races and timers and how many player and support for. You can say, okay, this is a 4-player race, so here's slot 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the start point. Here's the finish point.
Right.
Here's checkpoints. How much of that sort of mission making tool set there is to go with the environment crafting stuff.
Yeah, so we know there are going to be enemies and bosses and stuff like that. We know there's going to be skateboarding. You saw in the initial demo.
Right.
Stuff you can do like Line Rider, but much more complicated. And then we know there's going to be standard platforming. But
potentially a lot
they've hinted
more.
at other stuff, yeah.
With the physics engine, I mean, if it's really just a wide open physics engine, there's almost no limit to what they could put in it.
My impression has always been that they'll release, the beta, they'll see what people do that they never even thought of, and the final release is going to have a lot of things we're talking about, like races, things like that. Those won't be in the initial release. We'll get some very basic tools, and they want to see people push those tools as far out as possible and then start constructing the additional tools to do those sort of objectives. I don't think we'll see that. I think maybe we'll see some demonstrations of that at GDC, but I don't think that'll be in our free downloadable release, and I hope they don't pull a Gran Turismo and make it.
Well, I mean, we're getting a little far afield here, but this is something I think just in general in terms of game development you're going to start seeing in the online space is broad, almost a scatter shooting sort of game design that's very interactive with the player base, that gets some sort of framework model in place, almost like prototyping a game, like we were talking about before the show started. We were talking about how much prototyping different game developers do, and how they'll get a playable prototype running way ahead of time so they can start fussing around with the game. I think you'll see the same thing, but instead of it being internal to a developer, they'll do it externally, and they'll get something out there where people can start playing it, and they'll see what people latch onto and what they want to play and what they're interested in as part of what they develop the game to be. So they can do like a interactive game development process.
And I think one of the things that I think Sony could actually look at and learn from is really Halo 3 and the Forge system. Bungie's actually been very good, very proactive on making it very easy to find a lot of content, and you have user ratings, and they also have their Bungie favorites. And just from the website, you can click on to download stuff, and when you hop online, it's immediately downloaded. You can immediately jump into it and have some fun with it. And
now it may be easy to use, but as someone who doesn't play a lot of Halo 3 these days, to have to go to a website first and then go to your system.
You don't have to go to the website first. You could just hop on and check out any of your friends. They have file shares that they can have maps, game types, and you can just download them within Halo 3. You don't have to do it from the website. You have lots of different ways you can do it.
Well, one thing I'm curious about, to get back to Little Big Planet, is I haven't sat down and played it. I've seen all the presentations, I've seen the videos, but you got to sit down and play it. You mentioned that it would take a couple hours to really understand it, but
not to understand it.
Can I sit down and within
cool.
5 minutes, I'm going to be having fun with this game?
With the
is the interface
the purely already created levels? Yeah, but I think in order to create a level, you'll play 5 minutes. You'll see the potential. It's kind of like DDR. You'll try it out. It's like, oh, that could be cool once I get good at it. But then it's going to take you a while to actually build a fully fleshed out level. Like you saw, I mean, you probably didn't, but we did a quick logo. We did the 1UP logo, and to create that, which was a pretty crappy logo, took us about 2 minutes. So I mean, it's going to take a while to create something that's really cool and to perfectly polish all the edges and make it exactly what you want it to be. But there's going to be lots of other stuff that you can mess around with to kind of have fun with it right when you get it, I would assume.
Yeah, because I always look at, personally, just based on time constraints, I've looked at Little Big Planet as the type of game that I'm going to get in, I'll fool around with some friends, but realistically, I'm going to play through the developer levels, and then I'm going to start looking for recommendations from friends on user levels. I'm not into creating my own levels. I don't want to make user-generated content. That's just not my thing. But I think that's why I harp so much on how they're going to handle the user content and filtering it and rating it, is because that's why I'm so excited.
Which is why I asked about that, because I've thought the same thing, and then people tell me, "Oh no, wait till you check it out. They're going to do it right, and you're going to want to create levels."
There's also the potential to take a level that's already out there and
tweak
modify
it.
it. Yeah, you can use you can clip parts of it or do stuff like that. So I mean, if you want to use that as a base to build off of, that would be a lot quicker.
I know you said something about the controls not being big fan with some of the controls, but have they said anything about allowing keyboard and mouse control for creating levels? Because it seems like that would be much more intuitive.
No, I don't see that at all. Like, why would it
Really?
be more intuitive to use a keyboard with thousands of keys instead of to use a controller with like 5?
Hotkeys. Instead of having to go through 8 different menus to select one thing, you hit one key on the keyboard and can then use the mouse to manipulate whatever object you want to. You can place it much more fast.
I mean, I'm sure they could have designed the interface that way, but the way it works now, I can't really see
Yeah,
it
this is so tuned in to the 6-axis, and plus this is a very much
the motion
PlayStation
control
3.
does like move stuff around.
It moves like your character a little bit, but you don't really use the motion control.
It's
while
all
you're putting stuff up there.
stick-based.
Yeah, you do that, and you can like move objects around. You can zoom in, you can clip them, you can add to them, all that kind of stuff.
So it wasn't Sony, but Sony Online Entertainment had the agency there, and this was the first time I think we've seen it running
since
in engine.
E3. Yeah, E3 was just
They showed the same thing. This technically was still a video, right?
Yeah, it was still a video. It was a video taken out of Fraps. Of course, it's being developed on PC as well as PS3. Although they're very quick to say right up front that that they're thinking of it as a PS3 title a lot. So if you're not
Really?
familiar with it, yeah, that's actually what. It's really funny. The dude who's like the head designer is one of the most hyperactive guys I have ever met. He is so. It's like
too much Red Bull.
Well, yeah, dude. Like but he's so. It's like he's so channeled and enthusiastic and excited about what he's doing. And man, the plans they have for this game are ginormous. Like really, ginormous to the point of it looks cool, but you do get this concern, which I tried to bring up in the preview about. How are they ever going to get it all pulled together? Because the idea, if you're not familiar with it, this is somewhat along the lines of like a Huxley, where you take the Unreal 3 engine and you make a massively multiplayer online shooter game that also has character development and RPG elements to it. The difference, between Huxley, which is sci-fi, is that the agency is exactly what it sounds like. It's all about, spy stuff. If you like shit like the Alias and that kind of deal, then you're set. I mean, that's where this is at. 2 different organizations to start off with, one of them being in the very James Bond tuxedo, high-class model, and the other one being, the best way I can describe them, they say they're like mercenaries, but it's more like, if you've seen Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it's Brad Pitt's character. It's like, dude chugging a beer, walking around out in the middle of the desert in shorts with a rocket launcher.
No, from the screenshots I saw, the art direction looks almost like it has a little bit of Team Fortress 2.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It absolutely does.
It is surprisingly good for, a Sony Online Entertainment game, considering how generic EverQuest 2 is. No dock against the gameplay. I've heard they've ironed out that game in the expansion packs, but, the art is not a reason you play the EverQuest series. That is just straight up generic Lord of the Rings, etc. But the agency does have a very distinctive style, does a very riffing off the Pixar style, which is what Valve did with Team Fortress.
So to me, the takeaway from what they showed, which was exciting, is if they pull this off, what they'll create is sort of this online place where you can go and play single-player missions cooperatively in a shooter, which means that you and all the guys with you, so you're squad-based, but now you're squad-based where you don't have to worry about AI. And then the end game, and even before you get to the end game, the idea of it's a multiplayer online game, which you're already accustomed to seeing patched all the time. They can basically introduce any sort of multiplayer game type anytime they want to and let you go at it. And instead of guilds, you just have different agencies. So like, let's say I have an agency and Patrick, you have an agency. We got 2 or 3 friends together. We could go play any sort of games that they can dream up with. They can come up with like Counter-Strike variations or, bomb plants or protect the VIP or just about anything they think of. They can bring it into this world and you can play it with your custom character and have it be team-based. And then as people come up with new ideas, all they have to do is figure out the code to make that game mode work, and they can drop it into the game.
Well, okay, so tell me this. A, it's probably not coming out this year, right?
No, it's definitely not coming out this year.
And then B, you talked about, it's a Huxley-X game, but Huxley should have been out a while ago.
They're playing it in Korea.
Yeah, well, it's coming along. It's coming along, so to speak. But when you saw the agency and you've seen it before, like, what do you identify as what their key features are that you'd think are possibly too overambitious and we won't see in the final product?
Well, the fundamental challenge that they have to overcome is, the most popular first-person shooter arguably during this last holiday season was Call of Duty 4. And it took a large team a long time to do Call of Duty 4, and it lasts 12 hours, 10 hours? Maybe, right? That's not enough content for an online shooter. That just doesn't work. I'm not going to buy an online shooter, and I'm sorry, in the framework of a massively multiplayer online game and go do that. I think about the number of quests and worlds and environments that you have in a World of Warcraft. That's the expectation set when you go.
How is that not going to be boring after a certain amount of time?
Well, the same way it's not boring in World of Warcraft. That's not boring for people who are into their character and into their character development, all that stuff. Just the same way that you go and do the 15 billionth go collect a dozen skulls of whatever kind of.
Well, it's also not boring in the same way that someone will go in prestige mode 3 times in Call of Duty 4 and play through the exact same things.
But they need to be able to do new environments. So the answer that they gave me, which is where I think that they have a technology. If they accomplish it, they'll be doing a big deal technologically, which is that their editor is able to basically drag out 3D levels and use tiles to fill it all in very quickly and duplicate. So you will have duplicated environments, which you have in Warcraft and you have in EverQuest, and then drop AI pieces into it and objectives into it, and just be able to craft.
Crank them out.
Just crank them out to where a designer can do all that without need for a tech guy. And so if they have that and they can get enough content together, then it starts to work. Because
are those user created levels, or are those the Sony team?
I asked them about that. I said, "Are you going to let users do that?" And that's something that there's this obscure MMO called Hero's Journey that I don't think has even come out of beta yet. But that was their idea, and there's like all kinds of stuff to overcome there. Because if you're going to take no, it won't be. Ultimately, it won't be user created. It'll be a traditional MMO.
What you're talking about sounds very reminiscent of Hellgate London, and
it is.
Know how that worked out.
It is very reminiscent of Hellgate. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. It is on that count. The other side of what they said would also extend the game is, I don't know how exciting this would be for me. Is like there's also action. So the missions are instanced, but there's also an overworld where you're adventuring in different international cities, playing the life of a spy, all that kind of stuff. And there'll be like intelligence gathering opportunities, which to me sounded something akin to like collecting agility orbs in Crackdown,
or pickpocketing in Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, and so I mean, I'm a little iffy on how good that part's going to be. I like the way that another thing that's interesting is in the agency you start off as a bona fide, badass super spy. They don't make you work your way up to be a super spy. You start off as a super spy, and you start collecting these NPCs to work for you who are operatives. So you start collecting like the Chloes back at CTU, who you can call in to help in different ways. You can assign them to do things on the side, like research new weapon technology for you or build up your car, or you can assign them to come with you on a mission. And if you have them come with you on a mission, they're not there physically with you, but you can call in on your radio or whatever and ask them to do I need you to bust down the security for this building and get me a 5-second window to break through this door or whatever.
So it's less about customizing your character and getting experience points and doling that out as much as it's building this agency that works.
It seems that way.
The experience points, the new opportunities are through your agency that aid you as you're going through the quest.
So now that I've explained all that, you see why I'm worried about how big it is?
Way too ambitious.
It's
especially for a team that's never really made an action game like this.
Right. I mean, God bless them. If they could pull it off, it would be really fucking cool. I think they need more team. I mean, I'm concerned that what they're talking about needs a ginormous amount of people working on it, right? You got the techs, you got the designers, you got quest managers, you got all this stuff that needs to come together. I mean, that's just a lot of stuff.
And plus having a decent combat engine. I mean, the game hinges on the fact that it's going to be fun to shoot and run around.
Compared to Call of Duty, is the engine that you saw anywhere near that? Or even a good shooter?
Yeah, no, actually, the engine was there. And one of the things that was interesting, I mean, they already talked about how it's cool that they're doing on PC and PS3. They're including mouse and keyboard support because that's part of the Unreal Engine in the PS3 model. They're good with that. They won't be cooperative. It won't be there won't be a multi-platform play. So you won't be playing it on PC with people who are on PS3.
Wait, so it's Unreal Engine based?
Yeah, it's Unreal. Okay. It's UE3. It's UE3, and so the shards would be different. What?
So it's Huxley.
Well, it's not Huxley, though. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff. Anyway, I think it's cool. I think they need to maybe narrow the focus and decide what they want to get released. Because we went to the SOE party where they showed Pirates of the Burning Sea, which is finally coming out. And that's kind of coming along really nicely, right? But if I were Pirates of the Burning Sea, I think that their original plan would have been better than what they did. Their original plan was to bring Pirates of the Burning Sea out as the ship-to-ship portion of the game, which is really fun and really cool, sailing around in these, Pirates of the Caribbean galleons and firing cannons at each other.
Right.
And they were going to add a after-release add-on that would bring the sword fighting and boarding and all that into the game. And somewhere along the lines, they decided, you know what, we need that at launch. And so now they're launching a year later, but they have that inside the game. Maybe the agency could do something along the same lines, like
Start small and build up.
yeah, let's pick a portion of this and nail it and get it out there, and then we can always do that. You can always come back and add more, I think. What else do we do?
Well, I mean, there really wasn't much else. I mean, if we want to talk
Space
about
Siege.
from the
Space
Space Siege. You guys did get to talk to Chris Taylor about that.
Most generic game ever.
Oh, Seth, how do you do that to Seth Walker? It's like okay.
Well, set up species. I mean, it's described to me as what Diablo in space.
Dungeon
essentially?
Siege in space.
Yeah, but it's more.
Okay.
It is actually. You're right. It's more like Diablo in space, because where Dungeon Siege had a number of player characters in your party, and you had, you determined classes by what you like. The coolest thing about Dungeon Siege was you didn't pick a class for a character. You started doing stuff. You started casting magic. You became a mage. You started firing a bow and arrow. You became an archer. This game just throws all that out the window and says, "You're Seth Walker, space badass."
Which sounds terribly generic, but that's
Hold
the
on,
impression.
with a robot sidekick.
Oh my god.
But I mean, did you get to play it? I mean, it was on display.
Yeah, we got to play it. Yeah, I got to play it. And so here's what I think
Does
about
it get any better there? I mean, okay, screw it. I mean, who gives a shit if the story sucks and the character sucks? Like, I didn't play Diablo because I was intrigued by the end game.
Right,
like,
but when they sell it as the big feature is the character, and the character sucks, it's a little worrying.
I don't think that the character outright sucks. It's just like, when I hear the name Seth Walker, I don't think badass, last hope of saving humanity, kicking alien ass with a robot sidekick. I
sounds
think
like a nerd in the basement.
I think it's like, that's the dude I look at my old high school yearbook and go, well, I wonder what happened to that dude. Or maybe he's working for Kellogg's or something. I don't know.
Yes,
so
Kellogg's.
I mean, that's I don't know. Breakfast cereals. Fuck, I don't know.
I like Kellogg's.
I like Kellogg's. Oh,
But
no.
you guys got to interview him, so how did that
So
go?
let me tell you about the way the game plays. The game plays exactly like Diablo. You point in the environment where you want to walk to. You click on monsters to attack them. And it's not a loot collection game anymore. The weapons are pretty much set. You get what you get. There's this whole Too Human-esque sort of cybernetic upgrade system where, as you go through the game, you'll find cybernetic upgrades for Seth, and you can elect whether or not you install them into yourself.
Right.
And as you install them, you get more badass. This is interesting.
Right. And as we see that stuff, if it actually pays off, that's going to be what makes this game cool.
Right. The other side of that, though, is the more of that cybernetic stuff you install, the easier the game gets. And that's an actual design decision, is that you are in control of how hard the game is as you are playing it by how much of the cybernetic stuff you install.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I remember writing a story about why Chris Taylor wanted easier games, and his philosophy was it shouldn't be the arcade quarter mentality where you are struggling to get to the end and memorizing game patterns and that sort of like ancient design philosophy. And
that's a good catch. That's a really good pickup.
That will be interesting to see how players react to that. Does that mean that if you want the game to be harder, you scale it to yourself by removing your own equipment, like you remove your abilities? And I'm not sure if players will enjoy doing that. You shouldn't have to arbitrarily craft the experience to be harder if that's what you want. But
it's not arbitrary. It's a decision you're specifically making as to how much humanity you want to keep. And so it also figures, they also plan it into the game in a couple of other ways. The way the NPCs who are on board, so the way the game shapes up is that the Earth's been destroyed, you're on the last escaping colony ship to try and save humanity, and the aliens have boarded it right before you jumped out of like the solar system or whatever. So you're fighting through this ship trying
That sounds awesome.
I think this will be on the Sci-Fi Channel this Friday at 8 p.m. Central.
Starring Bruce Campbell.
Anyway, the NPCs, the other humans who are on board the ship, will start to change how they respond to you depending on how human or not human you are. There's going to be a number of different endings. He wouldn't give me any idea how many, depending on how human or not human you are. And if you elect to stay human, while the game will get more difficult, there will be human-specific skills that you're able to learn that you wouldn't be able to learn if you had a higher degree of cybernetic implant that might give you some, cool trade-off.
That's kind of interesting. I like that approach to that sounds much more interesting than when I was thinking, was just, you guys are leveling up, the game gets easier, and the enemies aren't scaling. Like when you introduce this kind of like a moral choice, like how you want to direct your character, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's multiplayer. There's gonna be 15 levels. Multiplayer is a whole standalone separate thing. Who knows? This thing is so made to be a console game. I mean, seriously, it's a PC game right now, but there's going to be a console version of it. I almost guarantee it's gonna be 360. It'll have live play. Like we're playing the game, and I kept trying to move my character with the WASD keys, which are camera keys in Dungeon Siege, because it's that much of an action game. I'm like, Chris, you guys need to put in WASD controls.
Hopefully it looks better than Supreme Commander when it makes the jump.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll save that argument for that'll be one for another day.
That's not an argument.
No, there's no argument. We'll save that thrashing for another day. That's about it. We had a good time.
Other than that, CES was fun.
I know. You know what else? You know what else he played?
He's pointing.
Doom.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Played some Doom on the Virgin America.
First time I've ever flown Virgin America. I played probably 25 minutes of Doom on the little controller. But it was really funny because it was running, like, at one point it crashed, and you discovered it's running on a Linux box.
Yep.
And the software is literally, they just loaded the shareware version of Doom onto it. So if you hit what is essentially the pause button on the controller that they have next to your seat, it's not like it brings Doom is pause. It brings up the new game, save game, load game, read me options. They literally just dumped the shareware version of the game on there. But Virgin America, it's like a club in the sky. I felt I didn't get a drink on the way there, and it felt offensive that I didn't do that, considering how hip the place was trying to be, and I was too hungover to get one on the way back. So
it's totally soul plane, dude. Pink and purple neon lights inside the cabin. I'm not kidding you. And Euro dance music playing over the loudspeakers when you come in. It's so strange.
I think Skip may be having an aneurysm.
He's rubbing his temple.
Don't dismiss Soul Plane.
Oh yeah, Southwest definitely. All right, well we'll give Skip a chance to recover, get his aneurysm back under hand. David, thanks for joining us for the first segment. We'll bring Shane down to do a little news sniping. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this break.
Rated T for Teen.
Sierra Entertainment proudly presents Empire Earth 3. Experience 3 unique factions: the West, the Mideast, the Far East, and introducing the new World Domination Mode. Keep the spoils of war as you build your empire across a realistically rendered Earth. Empire Earth 3. Conquer the Earth. Visit EmpireEarth.com. Empire Earth 3. Available now for the PC.
All right, we're ready to dig into the news.
Wait.
We have Shane here, but instead of replacing David Ellis, I have to say Matt had to go. So David's still here, and Matt's unfortunately gone.
Yeah, I really wish I could have been on the whole show, but we're on a really bad deadline.
Right.
But I'm really bummed that I can't talk about what I've been playing, because as it turns out, you deleted everything I said about Potapon on last week's show. People tell me.
It was unfortunate, because that was one of the spots where the iPhone interference was horrible. It was
I
really
think it was
terrible.
You attempting to remove all my positive words about Potapon.
Dude,
from
not
the
at all.
podcast.
Did you look at there's a story on the PlayStation blog right now about Patapon, and I saw those screens and all the information. That game looks so freaking studly.
I love it.
It looks really, really cool.
I love that game.
So what do you love about it? Give
Everything.
a quick update then.
Well, it's kind of a bait and switch. We all thought it was a rhythm action game. You just come in and you're like, it's a cute little Loco Roco style cute game. But that's the first 5 minutes. When you actually realize what the game is, it's a tactical RPG. Yeah, it is.
I know.
I liked your failure at really trying to describe it.
Right. So the game.
Did you play Overlord? Because I'm looking at this with all the little minions that you can send out, and I'm thinking this
feels like Overlord.
It's nothing like that at all.
Wait, did you play Overlord?
Trust me, it's nothing like Potapon.
You can't say it's nothing like it if you haven't played it.
Is Overlord a rhythm action game?
No, but the whole thing of Overlord is you have these. It's like Pikmin. You have these different minions that are able to accomplish different stuff.
It is like that in that you have different units who do different things, but that's true of any strategy game basically.
There's only a couple of them that have done that.
How is it a rhythm action game but also a tactical RPG?
So what happens is you have your little Potapon, and there's 3 different kinds. There's archers, melee guys, and kind of a middle spear thrower guy. So you go on these little side-scrolling missions, and you have different spells you do. And you, along to the beat of the music, you either tell them to go forward, to attack, to defend, to dodge. You learn some other like spells, like you can make rain occur. There's other things you can do. So along to the beat of the music, each turn, each measure, you do one of these things. And if you correctly input, that those buttons, they'll do what you want them to do. If you don't, they just stand there and get.
Do you have to memorize them? Do they show up on the screen?
Well, at any point you can bring them up by pressing select.
Okay.
But they're really simple and like intuitive. So you learn these and they just kind of stick with you. And the music's really great. So. When you do successive ones, if you do 10 in a row, your Potapone are get like a
adrenaline boost.
Adrenaline boost, called like Rush or something, and they do a lot more damage. So it's just super fun. These little bite-sized levels, and you're basically trying to fight these bosses and gain all these rare items to go back and create new Potapone. There's random, like super rare Potapone, kind of like Pokemon you're creating, and you're just going through these levels. And there's puzzles. It's just really unique and clever and addictive.
Sounds very bizarre.
It looks cool.
Sounds like you really need to play it to understand, because
you do.
You've told me, but like I have no idea what the fuck you said.
The game looked interesting to me, but until I really dug into it, and it's like a 15-hour game. It's serious. It's deep.
Is there any multiplayer?
No, that's my only issue with it. Like,
because it sounds made.
Well, and I already have like a good idea of what I think multiplayer could be. Because like 2 people with Potapones wouldn't be exciting, but 1 person with Potapone, 1 person with the enemies you're fighting with like different songs would be really fun.
Oh, that would definitely be cool.
But I think when people really get their chance to play this game, it's very quirky, very unique, and it's only $20, which is an awesome price point.
Yep.
I wish they would put it on PSN because it's.
So that's what I was going to say. Like, I'm excited it's coming to PSP, but I would much rather play it on PSN. Like the graphical style would look so incredible, like in HD.
Well, and although it's very fun in bite-sized chunks and it's made for that, you can't pause the game ever.
Oh.
Because the music is always going and enemies are always going, so it's a little. Like on the bus, if you got to get off.
Well, what is bite size? Like 5-10 minutes?
Some levels are.
That's like counterintuitive to a handheld where I can't ever pause it.
Right. Some boss battles will last 10 minutes. Most of the hunting missions and the discovery missions are less than that, like 3 or 4 minutes.
So it's like a world map, and you're like going between.
Yeah, it's kind of.
How does there being music mean that you can't pause it?
You can't pause the game.
Okay, you can't pause it, but it's not because they have music. I mean, you press pause and the music pauses.
Well, could you put the PSP in like sleep mode?
You can put the PSP in sleep mode.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, you can do that, but I don't know. I think everyone here should try it. And John liked it too. He was talking about it last week. It's very exciting.
Far out, rock and roll.
Sounds really cool.
Yeah.
In other news, we're very interested to get your take on the whole Britney Spears escape to Mexico issue.
Well, I'm concerned because the same paparazzi, he tried to sell naked pictures of her like 2 days ago, and now she's going to Baja California and hotels and
and did you see that what is it? Her cousin, like, is it Allie Sims?
Allie Sims
went to the People magazine like publicity party like just after they ran their cover story about her. Very disappointing.
Look, it's hot to go to Mexico right now. Romo did it. Now she's all. Britney's
Skip is so pissed right now.
This is fun, dude. This is where we do the TRL segment.
Jamie Lynn.
Turning it off.
What about Jamie Lynn?
What about Jamie Lynn?
Now that she's pregnant and
dude, she did that on purpose to get attention.
Stop it.
All right, yeah,
stop it.
We are on deadline.
We were almost on mute right there.
Oh, Andrew had his finger hovering over the cough button. Okay, so on to real game news, which is where I get to start off with my. Hey, look, I got a new member, or I'm a member of the new General's Army of Jaffe and Dyack on the one console future, baby.
Fantastic lineup.
Yeah, now that Jaffe has endorsed it, it's getting some momentum. I think.
Maybe you guys can join Michael Jackson in Neverland.
Oh, that's very sweet. Look, David and I were arguing about this during the break, dude. It works because it puts the emphasis back on games, and we do not need technology pushing. There's no reason to have a bunch of guys making different pieces of technology and segregating the market and making it to where guys like Naughty Dog have to choose which side of the fence to fall on to get their financing. Everyone should be able to play their games.
Yes, but without the Sega Genesis, there never would have been a Super Nintendo. Nintendo would have been more than happy just to sit on the.
Would there have been
DS.
a Wii? Would there have been a Nintendo DS like with a one platform?
No.
Platforms like a one console future, or at least a minimized version, will not work until there are no like minimal diminishing returns in terms of technology. Like
there already are minimal diminishing returns.
No, there are not. Like there is
really?
plenty. There is plenty left to be done.
What else?
I'm not. I mean, like
high definition graphics with 5.1 or even 7.1 surround
just look at the
sound.
Difference
multiplayer online
in gameplay that like the DS and PSP offer, or the Wii and then the Xbox 360. It's very different experiences, and like it isn't the same.
And
like,
the next iteration
if you want to make the argument that there is a spot for multiple consoles to do different wholly different sorts of things, like Wii versus 360 and PS3, I'm good with that.
So then you're
but there's
basically
no reason for there to be a PS3 and a 360.
I mean, same reason you could say, like, a free market economy is confusing. Everything should be the same. Like, no. And look at Atari 2600. When that was...
See, this is the argument David made.
Back in 1983 with Atari 2600, that wasn't a great place to be. No, it wasn't.
Well, to be honest, there were other consoles back then.
But not competitive, really. I mean, like Intellivision, ColecoVision, they it was
but that was their own fault.
Slivers of the market.
And the technology still had a long way to go. I would argue with you that having one console makes it more like a free market economy, because then the games become important and everybody has access to the same market.
Saying there's only one console, it makes no sense
It's not like there's going to be one manufacturer or one licensor. There's going to be a white paper that says this is what a console needs to be.
Does the government determine who?
Yeah, exactly. Who are these people?
No, I think
for that.
No, I think maybe you do sort of like they did during the DVD era, and you have like a
consortium.
A consortium of developers, and game developers say, you know what? Here's what the baseline stat needs to be. It needs to have this amount of processing power. It has this graphic power.
But then
let people build the damn thing.
There was more than one way to watch this. There was DVD and then there was DivX, which was completely different.
Hey, remember when there was audio, video, and then 3DO? Remember that one?
Yeah.
All right. This argument's not gonna go away anytime soon, and I have a suspicion that in upcoming shows we'll be revisiting it. So how about that? And let's move on, because I know that one of my most favorite PS3 games, Resistance.
Wait, what?
Really?
Revisionist history for the loss. I remember being on this podcast with you dissing that game.
Really?
At length.
I think you're wrong on that case, because I never dissed Resistance.
Am I confusing you with another bearded
I think you softened on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Softened. I liked it from the outset. I praised that game for its story. I loved Nathan Hale. I loved the way the fucking ending was totally X-Files-ish and made me like I was enjoying the game. And then I got to the ending and I saw the ending cinematic. And I was like, God damn it, you assholes! Now I'm dying to know what happens next. I was hype on that game all along.
You will find out what happens this fall.
I know. I'm totally dying to see what happens, and I think it's really, really interesting. So here's the details from the Game Informer cover story, which is a great coup for Game Informer. One campaign, it's focusing on Nathan Hale. He's going to be in the United States, and that's the single-player game. But then there's another set of story for multiplayer play, cooperatively, with, 8 players?
8 player.
Jesus, dude, this is awesome. Online multiplayer.
It's a separate campaign?
Yeah,
it's
a
completely separate campaign.
Yes,
yeah.
Separate co-op campaign, plus online multiplayer via dedicated servers supporting up to 60 players. 3 character classes for multiplayer, vehicles, and inside the levels, when you're playing the single player game, there'll be areas of the geometry that's generated randomly. So if you go back and play the game, it won't necessarily have the same layout and same path through it.
Wow.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
I'm very interested to see how the 60 multiplayer works out. I've heard of some sort of squad format, but I found a lot of Resistance multiplayer to be too fast, too frantic. 40 people is not fun. Skip and I were talking about, I used to play Quake games back in Quake World, 100 players. It's not fun just having a shitload of people.
It's just chaos.
Yeah, it's not fun. So maybe there's a dynamic to it. I haven't read the cover story. I don't know the details. But just having like a bullet point is at 60 players does not make me excited.
So part of that is you will create squads. So the gameplay in multiplayer in those large matches will be squad-based. So you'll join a squad of like 4 to 8 people, and you'll have objectives within the multiplayer mission.
And every squad will have
achieve
different objectives,
right?
That are not necessarily dependent on what the other squads are. So it's not like you're in direct competition necessarily. It's more of you're trying to stay alive to complete your objective while other people trying to take you out.
And David and I were talking about it this morning. Like that kind of sounds like what I believe is like Unreal Tournament 3's biggest failure is losing the assault mode, which is my favorite part of Unreal 2004. And it kind of sounds like they're kind of taking a new take on that with Resistance 2. If that's really what they're doing with this 60 players, like multiple objectives, everyone's working together in like these different squads, like that sounds fucking incredible.
Well, and it's coming so soon off the heels of the first one. I was concerned that it would look identical, the same engine, but the screenshots I saw, which are probably the single player game, the character models looked a lot better.
Yeah, all deference to them. It ain't 2008. Not like that. Come on, look at this.
They have pumped out a title a year.
Would you like to bet? Would you like to bet us on that one?
But sure, I will bet you, because I mean, if they hold to this set of specs and can get it out this year, I would flat ass be floored.
I believe the Resistance 2 will ship in November.
Yeah.
And if that means Killzone 2 comes out in 2009, then it means Killzone 2 comes out in 2009.
If I'm Killzone 2, I don't want to compete with this.
Oh no! I mean, the other thing I'll say about this is Call of Duty 2, Half-Life 2. Resistance and Resistance 2 might well wind up being the best of the two numbered shooters ever. This thing is
What
amazing.
about the Halo 2? That one.
What about it?
David?
It was a good game.
Awkward.
Yeah.
All right, so speaking of other awkward things, Microsoft is still apparently struggling with their Xbox Live issues.
But are they, like, I'm hearing very mixed reports about whether, like, some people are having issues, some people aren't having issues. Is it a widespread thing? I've also heard that some people's achievements are being deleted.
Well,
like, things are so random, like, I don't even know where to begin investigating anything.
They say it's because
Like,
it's so popular.
what am I supposed to ask? Like, hey, Microsoft, lots of things are fucked up in different places. Like, where do we even begin with this?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the story on Kotaku had like some of I mean, they're just getting down to like really coming up with lame explanations. Like this is Albert Pinello talking to Kotaku. He's like, we had the biggest concurrent day we've ever had on Live. Da 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 da. He says it's easy when we're all in the office in November, but on December 25th, it's harder to get a hold of everybody. Well,
So then why is it still fucked up if it is still fucked up?
number one, and number two, didn't you guys know how many Xbox 360s you'd sold in the run-up to holiday? Didn't someone ever think, wow, you know what? If the normal percentage of people tries to sign on with their new Xbox, we might want to be ready
Maybe
for
they
that.
shouldn't charge us for Xbox Live on holidays if they're not going to be supporting it on those days.
Well, and it's strange. Like, their way of repaying...
Interesting approach.
The way of repaying people is a free Xbox Live Arcade game, which they haven't even released details of. They're coming in the coming weeks. So does that mean that they
get to pick?
We don't know.
Oh.
Like, I mean, if that means that Rez is free for 24 hours, that would be an
That'd
excellent
be
way
awesome.
to replay people. But like, I would much rather they just give me, 1,200 points. Let me go spend it anywhere I want. If
Right.
they're not going to give me a free month, because this is supposed to apply to the silver and gold members, so they're not just going to give people free time, because that doesn't make sense, because it's affected everyone. Because you couldn't access the marketplace either. This wasn't just playing games over Live. I don't know. Like the fact that they couldn't announce the details and it's a coming weeks thing, like makes me think they knew they were going to have further problems, and maybe their payback is going to be something more significant, depending on how that repair process goes.
I wouldn't hold my breath on it being anything significant. I mean, basically, the service was never down completely. It was borderline unusable for a large portion of the time, and it actually made me turn off my 360 and turn on my PS3 and play some PSN for, a change, but it wasn't down. People have no legal recourse to sue or anything. If you look at the terms of service, live service is as is. They have no guarantee that it's going to be up at all times.
Well, fuck
okay,
me.
technically everything has that clause.
Right. Well,
Come on, just because they have no legal recourse doesn't mean that it's right that you should have to deal with that shitty sort of service, and doesn't mean that Microsoft wants you to look at them in that sort of negative light either.
no, exactly. And, one of the things that I was thinking about, people already have drawn big issues with the reliability of the system itself. The one shining star has always been Live as being this sterling network that's just always up, always available, and now that's kind of been shattered and thrown out the window too. I think that's,
I'm not sure that'll be a wide president. Like, if a month from now, like, it's not a problem anymore, people aren't going to hold that against them.
Hey, you know another way they wouldn't have held it against them? If it was a free service.
Exactly. I mean, there's already a growing movement among Xbox Live users to have Xbox Live should be free in their motto. I see that all the time. Every day I'm online with Xbox Live. You see that, and it's growing. Yeah.
I'm going to make that my motto. I'm fully going to make that my motto.
Like
Absolutely.
free or ad-based, I should not, if I'm paying $50 a year, I should not see a single ad on that service. I should be getting some sort of benefit that isn't making up arbitrary demos that are available for a week. That is retarded. You didn't do that when you launched the service. Don't do it now. I pay $50 a year, and I think that is retarded.
Well, you didn't have to pay for backwards compatibility updates, but you have to pay for Xbox Live Classic games. What do you think about the Kotaku story about the backwards compatibility updates winding down?
Well, they always said that was going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable. They've got most things. They have like Jet Set Radio Future. Like that's.
You have over 450 titles already available. That's much better than I think anyone anticipated.
Yeah, Barbie Horse Adventures have been playable for like over 2 years.
Albert Pinello is the group marketing manager for the Xbox 360 at CES, in their interview also noted that outside of Halo 2, their internal data points to a very low number of backwards compatibility games being played on Live, and backward compatibility updates not being downloaded that much anymore. So, I mean, is it now a non-issue?
I think it's more or less a non-issue. Maybe we'll see another one. Maybe they'll, like with Psychonauts, maybe there'll be specific title updates that come along. There are still games that are technically backwards compatible that don't have very efficient backwards compatibility. I'd like to see them go back back and fix that.
And
I've heard Ninja Gaiden is pretty fucked up still. So there are things that they could go back and do, but at the same time, like PS3's backwards compatibility isn't 100% either. If you look up a game, there will be isolated issues with certain games. So there's that stuff everywhere, and I don't think it's a big deal that they're not going to be issuing anymore.
Well, and we're going to talk about backwards compatibility in relationship to PS3 hardware in a second. But before we switch completely into Sony, there's one item that I say to breeze past that we'd already talked about, but I want to get your opinion, Shane. Darth Vader, Yoda, Soul Calibur, what do you think?
Actually, Shu and I go at length about that on the new EGM Live, but my official stance is I'm glad that they're separate because I don't want Yoda on my game.
You dick.
Yeah, and like it's funny. One of my good friends, when we thought that both of them came in the game, he was like, "I would pay $5 to have Yoda removed from my game." And it's not because I don't like Yoda. I think Yoda's fine, but he's obviously going to break the game. He's tiny. His hitboxes are small. Go back and play Gon in Tekken 3 on PS1.
He's a novelty character.
He's a disaster.
No one's going to play him as their serious character.
No, but
why can't we just have fun with
him? He's probably broken. Like Soul Calibur 3 was unbalanced enough.
Link wasn't broken.
Link was a good character, but he wasn't broken. He wasn't broken.
Okay.
No.
I'm standing alone on my island once again. I think Yoda's cool, and I just think he's cool. I thought the most exciting part.
I would have preferred Yaddle.
Oh,
what the hell is Yaddle?
Yaddle's
I'm embarrassed that I know what he's talking about.
The female Yoda on the Jedi Council. I'm not making this shit up.
It's true.
It's true.
How can you wear a DJ Shadow T-shirt, a Bape hat, and know who the fuck Yaddle is?
I also would have
wildly varying tastes.
I also would have preferred characters such as Elon Sleazebagano as a playable character.
What? Anyway,
moving on.
So,
and you've heard about the plot of Indiana Jones, right? You've heard what Lucas is doing to that. I'm not going to spoil it for everybody here, but just know George Lucas is ruining Indiana Jones.
Aliens and commies.
Oh, the alien stuff.
There you go.
Area 51.
Ruined.
Oh,
ruined.
Dear.
Yeah, sorry.
So
we just made Skip incredibly depressed. He hadn't read that news yet.
Aliens, hi.
I can't wait to play the video game that comes out. Hold on, Indy. I got to get my double-barrel shotgun. All right. I wonder if there'll be a chainsaw-wielding dude in it. Sony had a pretty respectable November, though, selling over 450,000 in America. But it turns out, overall, even better news. Since Black Friday, they've sold 1.2 million PS3s. Are you happy with that number? How do you feel? How do you feel? Sony?
I bought one of those for my sister.
Did you?
Yes.
Which one did you get?
The 40 gig. She doesn't know what she's missing. It's great.
She doesn't know what she's missing.
I think what's more interesting is that PSP and PS2 outsold PS3.
So that's an interesting point, because the subplot is that as PS3 moves more and more towards SKUs that don't have backwards compatibility, which the news out of Japan is that the 20
are being phased
the 20
out.
and 60 are being phased out. They may well bring a new model in, but that means they're focusing on the 40 gig there. And in Japan, where the PS2 is even stronger, there's a huge demand for that back library.
Well,
are they trying?
We saw this week, Namco Bandai announced Gundam Musou for PS2,
right?
Which is like a vote of no confidence in next gen.
It's not a vote of, you know what, I disagree. I don't think it's a vote of no confidence in next gen. It's a vote of, holy crap, there's still tons of people buying these boxes. It's a vote of,
we can sell several 100,000 copies of this for almost
millions.
For almost no effort.
Millions. Yeah. And not even no effort. I mean, this is a development platform that everyone's really familiar with. So why is Sony now really aggressively pushing not backwards compatibility? I mean, it's not like they're just offering it to be cheap.
Well, I mean,
they're aggressively.
I've posed this on this podcast before, that it is because down the road they do want to make PS2 games available through the PlayStation Store, and they don't want people buying used games in EB. You know, they don't.
They get rid of the used market that no manufacturer or publisher enjoys.
But they can't really do it right now because PS2 is still successful. So they're waiting. They're just kind of playing it as it goes.
Yeah, that's a long wait. PS2 is still pretty successful.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you're outselling. It's outselling that next gen console.
The continued viability of PS2 also means the continued viability of Wii ports and PSP ports from PS2, or every direction.
What about a conspiracy theorist who says that the PS3? That to support the loss of selling PS3 at a lower price, they need to stimulate the PS2 market where they're making buku's money and they keep the price at $129.
If they're doing a 10-year plan, what's the problem with that?
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the problem with that? It's taking advantage of all of us. It's screwing us. It's fine if it works for them financially.
Nintendo continued to support the Super Nintendo for several years after N64 came out, and it was still viable. I was a retail then, and it was a similar situation.
So what about support? Would you like to see first-party PS2 games back in development?
I think what you're going to see more of are simultaneous things on PSP and PS2, and big-name PSP titles coming to PS2.
God of War?
Something like that.
All right, that sounds interesting. We talked last week also about home and what was going to go on with the cross-media bar. I like this. Sometime during 2008, sometime during the next 365 days, you'll get the XMB in-game access to your friends list and all that kind of stuff.
I think that's assumed. Sometime in 2008.
Everything you've been wanting, you'll get at some time.
Well, this is from the Sony representative Paul Purdy, and he commented on that. He directly said that was a feature that would be coming out this year. Why do you think it's such an open-ended statement? Why is he? I mean, is he just trying to appease people?
Because it's probably contingent on home.
Yeah.
A lot of home is the backbone of incorporating the cross-media bar as a core feature, and then it's once you have that with home, it's probably very easy to port it to the rest of the PS3 firmware.
And I guess I'm hoping it's sooner rather than later, because we're all hearing home is a big push at GDC, and that's like a month away. And it'd be really awesome if the home beta happened at GDC.
Well, I took a lot of flack for it last week, but I still tell you that in my blog that I wrote, I've been writing a blog series, which I need to get back to. I didn't have a chance to work on it at CES, about 3 things that I'd like to see, or that I think these companies could do that would make them like really, really just stand out and do something unique. And to me, getting a basic framework along the lines of live, but beating live at its own game, which is well within the grasp of Sony at this point, would be a big standout achievement for them. And
I'm pretty sure that's their plan.
Well, I wish they'd get on with it, brother.
That's why I redesigned Store. I hate the PlayStation Store.
Yeah.
What do you hate about it so much?
Because it's web-based. It's
Right.
difficult to navigate. When I hit circle, it shouldn't back me out of the store. That should back me out of the menu I'm in. Like, I realize you learn those things as you start, but like, I realize they're doing that because they want it to be cross-compatible with PSP. They want it to have one store where you can access everything. But I wish, that's what I do really still like about Xbox Live, is that it's all in these blades that I go through. It's all accessible there. I don't need to go through separate tabs, open up separate browsers to access all the content, and that really takes me out of the experience. And maybe that's an evolution for them. But when Sony's stance is that they have no intention, when I interviewed Sony at CES, they have no intention of releasing the PlayStation Store on the PSP. Like, the intention for at least going 2008 onward is that it will always be a downloadable thing for the PC, and you sync it like you would an iPod.
Because I heard they wanted to make it accessible.
They want to, but I was told that is not on the horizon. That is not something that will come out in 2008. There's no intention for 2008 to have the PlayStation Store accessible through the PSP.
It's so weird because you can download wallpapers and trailers and stuff, free things, but you can't purchase anything via your PSP. And it seems like it's a matter of transactions.
Yeah, I don't see what the holdup is, nor do I see why that wouldn't be a prime suspect for them, because I shouldn't have to sync it up. I should be able to be on the road. I stop at a gas station. Maybe there's a hotspot, and I get in, I download a game.
Really, the only option you can do for that is if you have remote play with your PS3, then you can access the store through your PS3, through your PSP, and purchase things.
Right, but that's great.
It's like a workaround.
It's great for us, but for the beginning user, the beginning PSP user,
pretty advanced.
They don't care about custom firmwares and all that shit that we mess with. I don't know. It's just a really basic thing that I think they're missing out on.
So if there was any doubt about how big music games have gotten in the last year or two, MTV has put the final exclamation point on it with this new thing that they dropped on the web, which is their interactive chart finder. So basically, or track finder. If you have a song in mind or band in mind, you can go to this web applet, put it in, and it'll tell you what games it's in and what console you have to play it. You can sort by any number of things. This is like the ultimate. Well, not the ultimate, but it's the first step towards categorizing all this music that's out there and making it almost like any other online music.
It's like a much more accessible, neat version of Wikipedia where you can just punch in something that you like, and I think that's really useful, especially now when we're getting Rock Band has already doubled its track list.
Yeah.
We need something like this. I think we'll see it in places other than MTV. I think we need that in something like Xbox Live and PSN. We need a searchable way to find things. Going through Rock Band's content on Xbox Live is very difficult. It's a pain. It's even more of a pain on PSN when they don't have lists. It's these big buttons. But I think that's a kind of a cool way, starting to move in that direction of categorizing things.
It's an early version. It's not especially pretty, but you can check it out at trackfinder.mtv.
You can see how many games have Dragula in them. I think it's 20.
All right. A couple of big acquisitions and mergers. We're already kicking off the spring season of consolidation, I guess. Take-Two has picked up the Mafia devs and added them to their team, and Valve has acquired the Left 4 Dead developers. You guys have any thoughts on those two things?
I think those are both pretty obvious.
Yeah, they both make sense.
Yeah.
Mafia 2 is shaping up to be a really great game. Left 4 Dead also looks very good.
The Left 4 Dead thing doesn't surprise me in the least.
Yeah.
That's something
I was kind of surprised they weren't already owned by Valve. Valve.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's how Valve's expanded themselves. They've like looked at guys who are doing great stuff with their engine and distributing it through Steam.
And once they've proven themselves, then they bring them on board. So I think both those make sense.
How long do you give SCI before they get bought?
Pretty soon. They just delayed Tomb Raider too.
Yeah, and you see like one of their major banks today issued a statement about SCI and said like the management is so poor, they have lack of confidence because they're missing all their targets, and when the market is booming, they're failing, and not good.
So who's going to get them?
I think Midway.
There's been talk of that.
That was the last major rumor.
I think that would be a really good fit for them actually. So,
anybody else out there in the market who might sweep them? Take-Two? Are we 2K?
Take-Two, I think they want to get sold themselves.
Yeah.
Do you think 2K wants to go someplace?
Maybe, but 2K's under the Take-Two banner, so I think there's going to be someone that wants to pick up all that and just clean up the dirt.
EA? Ubi? How about Ubisoft and SCI? Ubi has that money now from Assassin's Creed. They're back to stable.
Isn't Ubi worried? Like they're trying to distance themselves from EA? Are they really worried about acquiring new developers at this point?
Well, I mean, but then they continue to add to their size. So if they added to their size in that way, wouldn't that help them become so much bigger that they couldn't be absorbed?
Or how about Microsoft buying SCI?
Well, that's an interesting idea. That's a really interesting idea.
They could use the development.
They certainly could, because I mean that was something that I brought up again in that blog series I talked about. I mean, the first party stable, and we need to know what the hell they're working on, right? The first party stable.
Having Tomb Raider exclusive would be boon for sure.
That would be very interesting. And ironically, I actually put that in my PS3 suggestions because I said that that's an area that they've explored before, where they had games that became signature games for the PS3 that weren't first party.
With Sony publishing Uncharted, you don't need Tomb Raider.
Yeah, probably true.
Plus, if Ubisoft is Assassin's Creed, like they're very different. They're very different artistically style games, but like very similar concepts in terms of what they're trying to do.
Maybe that would give them some economies internally as far as the teams go and refinement of both games.
I think Midway still sounds like a good fit.
Yeah.
I hope that happens.
Shooter house, adventure house.
Yeah, it would really help round out their lineup.
Might give Midway a better. I don't know how strong Midway's access is to Europe right now, but it might help their access to Europe too, because I mean SCI obviously based out of the UK.
They could use a strong seller. Unreal Tournament hasn't done well. Stranglehold didn't do well.
Interesting.
Tomb Raider's a guarantee.
Definitely going to be some developments there.
Yeah.
Will be interesting to see how it goes. Probably before GDC?
I don't know.
Maybe. Let's see how the next bank statement is.
Bank's like, sell it!
On the Wii, interestingly enough, through a kind of backwards manner, according to Shack News, there's been an announcement of a new WiiWare game codenamed Project Bang, which sort of also revealed that the download service is scheduled to launch in just about 2.5 months.
So maybe we'll hear about that at GDC too.
I'm pretty sure we will, but as I said, I'm kind of worried about it.
They haven't said.
Really?
They really haven't said anything about it. Like we kind of got those announcements out of Japan when like Square Enix showed off their Final Fantasy game.
Right.
Haven't we heard that's in trouble now?
Well, no, that's a different thing. Like the real Crystal Chronicles
that's
game
the separate
is
one.
in trouble. This one, like what people worry is we see the screenshots and it looks like real-ish graphics, like bigger than you think. Like how is this going to fit on my Wii's like little tiny flash memory?
And they haven't announced any sort of like SD card support.
Right. Everything we've heard was that the size limits on these games are really small, and we kind of expect the prices to be high based on what the virtual console prices are.
Right, and Nintendo really hasn't announced anything too compelling for it yet either. I mean, we had Dr. Mario. I think they're doing a remake of that but like. I don't know. It just seems seems like they're kind of doing it, but like I don't feel like there's this whole movement.
Nintendo did announce
it.
like 3 or 4 titles a few months ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and like most of them are kind of like Super Nintendo-y remakes and
yeah.
But we're hearing rumors of like original things from Zelda and Mario and Metroid, those kind of things. Like,
and weren't we excited about all this just a couple of months ago?
I think it's theoretically very exciting, but we'll wait and see.
I mean, there's a good argument. I mean, they have a good store. They've done great with their classics lineup. They've brought in a lot of different publishers.
It's a matter
of
of
materials.
How are you going to store these things and how much are they going to cost?
Yeah, it's some of the logistics.
Unless there's SD support for storing the games, it's a complete failure out of the gate.
Yeah, okay. I'm worried about that too.
Well, they always have another trophy they can add to their case at Nintendo headquarters. The latest one would be an Emmy. They've been awarded an Emmy for the DS.
For Captain N?
Yawn.
Yeah.
They also awarded it to the Lynx, apparently.
Exactly. Atari Lynx.
Hey, Lynx is awesome.
Moving on.
All right, moving right along. Also, out of our press briefings, you know about this one, Patrick, probably that the Microsoft officials said that they wouldn't rule out a Blu-ray drive add-on for the 360.
Yeah, Dave and I were talking about this before. Like, this has been Microsoft's line since day one. They're backing HD DVD because for twofold reasons. Their Microsoft's end game is downloadable distribution.
Right.
Look at Xbox Live Video Marketplace. That is their end game. Like, Xbox Live Video Marketplace could one day become a set-top box. So by aligning with HD DVD, which was kind of seen as like eventually maybe being like the failing format, people were kind of going behind Blu-ray because they saw the PS3 as a Trojan horse. So like it kind of seemed like a lot of people wanted HD to be a failure. I wanted it to be a failure. I want one format. I don't really care which one. I just bet my chips on Blu-ray.
One console future, hell yeah.
Yeah, so it makes sense for them to back HD DVD because it embraces the digital distribution and it slows Blu-ray adoption just because that slows PS3 adoption. But why wouldn't they eventually release an add-on? Peter Moore said that 2 years ago. Jeff Bell told me that when I interviewed him at CES. And there's no reason a year from now, when everything is switched, they're going to release a Blu-ray.
It's funny that you put it that way. I'm not big on conspiracy theories, but I definitely walked out of the Gates keynote after the announcement of the new adding more video partners. The fact that they now have the largest downloadable video library available,
and it's the only one where you can get HD films,
and you can get all this HD stuff. And I thought, and as I walked out, I thought to myself, those guys backed HD DVD to slow down Blu-ray just enough to get this shit in place.
Like it would cost
you just figured that out this week, not when they paid giant sums of money to Universal and Paramount.
Sorry,
really.
Well,
I told you I'm not much for conspiracy.
Well, that was the Michael Bay theory.
You know what? I like to watch conspiracy theories in movies. Like
they're more fun in real life.
Like JFK. I don't really believe that there's that many out there, but this one really starts to look real.
There's some new news today. Variety today reported that Universal and Paramount are expected to get out of their deals very, very soon, and HD-DVD is more or less.
Well, because I think was it Paramount? They have a clause in their contract that if Warner left, they had the option to leave, and Universal just hasn't renewed their contract. So there's a good chance this isn't going to be over. It's going to be a slow death, but it's inevitably.
No, this war is over. It comes down to two other things. And one of the articles that I read was that HD DVD has had a very strong uptake among user burner devices, and that they expect that a lot of people making home movies will still be burning their home movies, their high-def home movies to HD DVD, which means you'd still want something that could play that format. And then, absolutely, you asked about did I really not believe it until now? I guess part of the other thing that nailed it for me is, there at CES, Netflix announced their partnership with LG to do this set-top box to deliver movies to your television through the broadband internet. I really didn't think about it that much, but it was obviously a delaying move. And they're actually in a pretty good position to have it work and have it pay off. Digital distribution do you really care about owning Blu-rays?
Do I care about owning Blu-rays?
Do you care about owning physical discs, or do you care about watching movies?
I mean, when the price of hard drives is enough to where I don't have to be concerned about archival things, and do I have to delete this movie to download a new movie? Then but I think that's like 5 years from now or something.
I don't think it's 5.
The price is already there on hard drives. I mean, buy a 500 gig hard drive.
And I heard about
$100.
a new cable modem that can be really really quickly deliver HD content coming next year. Like that kind of stuff is exciting for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's 5 years.
But I don't think packaged goods are going away in the next year or two.
Maybe not. Maybe not in the next year or two. But I think that in the movie market, I don't think that either HD DVD, which is apparently going to lose, or Blu-ray, which is apparently going to win, is ever going to see the sort of sales numbers that DVDs have seen.
But to imagine that direct distribution is somehow Microsoft's domain and they're going to rule that, I'm sure Apple has something to say about that too.
Lots of other interesting tech stuff in the game world on the PSP, and I have a whole raft of papers here. So Skype was, of course, their big announcement for the PSP, which...
Did you get to try that? Were they demoing it there?
They were demoing. I didn't use it myself, but I was watching it, and it's going to come in a firmware update in a couple of weeks by the end of the month.
And did they say, is the price, I heard between 20 and 40?
Don't know on the price.
That's what I heard.
They weren't announcing.
Price for what? Now keep in mind,
price for the software.
Skype's free.
No, it's going to be free.
Yeah.
It's a matter of using it.
Yeah, you have to pay to...
I heard that Skype is free. I've used Skype on PC, but I heard that Skype for PSP, there will be a one-time fee, and then no fee for calling other Skype users, but a minimal cent fee for calling non-Skype users.
Skyping out, yeah, that's what they call it.
But I heard
Skype out has always had a fee to it.
The Skype software on PSP is not free. That's what I heard.
Really?
Maybe it is...
they made no indication when I asked about it. They just said, no, it's coming 3 or 4 weeks in a firmware update.
Huh. Well, that'd be cool. I guess we'll have to figure that out.
I'd be shocked if they were charging for it.
So do you think that this is the test bed for them making a PSP 2 phone?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Ericsson, they've been dodging those questions for a while.
Right, and they're still dodging, and we talked about it last week.
No.
I mean, when I talked to Sony, they said it was either, are we gonna how are we gonna implement voice over IP? Are we prepared to make a PlayStation phone? No, it's in our plans, but this is kind of this is a test bed to see how will users respond to it. Do they adopt it? What don't they like about it? And yeah, it is a test bed for eventually a PlayStation phone.
And we also talked about Blu-ray just a moment ago, and there's apparently also a demo of the ability to take a Blu-ray movie, drop it into your PS3, and have it do the background work to dump it onto a memory card and play it on your PSP.
Right. And
this is very similar. Apple is doing a big initiative with this, with the iPods and the iPhone, where you can just pop in a DVD, and it comes with, I think, Harry Potter is eventually going to do that, where you can just go in, drag and drop, goes onto your iPod. So, I think it's very cool. I think it'll be more interesting to see anyone other than Sony Pictures adopting it, because it does, I can see studios spinning it in some sort of piracy angle, but if studios do adopt it, I think that is a really cool. They should there is no reason there shouldn't be iPod and PSP versions right on these discs, drag and drop, and then you eliminate people having to pirate it so they can convert it.
So apparently the Resident Evil Blu-ray actually already has a PSP version on it. Did you read that?
I hadn't read that.
I don't think it has a PSP version. It has the new profile.
Right, the 1.1 profile.
I knew that.
The copying, I don't think is coming until Profile 2.0.
Yeah, that's Profile 2.0. That's a
that's going to be 6 to 8 months.
Still very cool. So basically, the PSP is now a internet telephony service, an internet radio device, a movie watching device in conjunction with your PSP, with your PS3, and maybe through a remote play they could implement something.
And this is, of course, the final nail in the UMD movie. Coffin.
Right. Well, that's a great point too. I mean, not that those weren't already.
Well, sort of,
really
but
dead.
when I was talking to Sony, I asked them what is the future of UMD? They said that they know that everyone fucked up with the initial UMD launch. They released a bunch of movies that didn't appeal to the PSP fan base, and so what they're intending to do now is actually go to studios, and Sony themselves will be releasing movies selectively based on what they think will appeal to the PSP catalog, and they're going to be releasing them at price points that make sense, like $4.99, $9.99, stuff that makes sense for before you
impulse buy.
Yeah, before you were you should be at the airport and $4.99 for South Park season 1. Fine, I'll check that out.
Too little, too late.
Probably, but it's what they should have done day one.
Yeah. But it's true. The hardware is picking up. The PSP is doing better than it ever did. So as it gets more mainstream, more mass market, it is people at Walmart who might buy a UMD of South Park.
Yeah, but software is not rising at the same rates.
Well, that's the problem
because of the rampant piracy.
Well, but the piracy, and there's so many other things you can do on PSP besides play games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew's home state of Wisconsin is back on the "we want to tax video games" tip.
Go Packers!
Go Packers! So this bill, which had ESA President Mike Gallagher pointed out had been out before, has been reintroduced. He's calling the members to rally again against the proposed tax. Basically, it's 1% tax, thought of as a sin tax, which is sort of like what they put on alcohol and cigarettes for video games. What?
How far along is this? I haven't followed this story. Is this been passed? It has to be.
No, it's just reintroduced again. So I guess it had been failed or tabled before. Do you know what happened to it the first time through? So we need to do a little research on that. Or just pick up the story, but it's been reintroduced. It's a proposal of a 1% sin tax on video games. It's similar to the taxes on alcohol and tobacco products. It would be on top of any local sales taxes, and
it'll get shot down. That's not going to go.
It's basically like gas tax too.
Yeah, that's not going to go through. I mean,
why is it not going to go through?
It's just like any other law. So it'll get passed. Great, it'll get passed, and then a court will knock it down, which has happened every time.
No court will knock this down. It's not a constitutional issue. You're allowed to tax.
I mean, if the money is going to save starving orphans or something, maybe it'll pass. Who knows?
Well, it's another typical situation where you have fairly ignorant lawmakers who see an issue they feel that they can latch onto, and it's a no-lose situation for them. People that don't like taxes, don't like violent video games, to see it as a way to keep violent video games out of kids' hands. And people that do like taxes, well, it's more money for us to spend.
People who don't like taxes
don't like violent video games.
That's a pretty broad.
He's saying Republicans don't like video games.
I'm saying traditional conservatives.
I don't really like taxes, and I'm kind of okay with violent video games.
What I'm saying is, though, from a political standpoint, the people who would normally be against tax increases might see this as a way of keeping these quote-unquote hyper-violent games out of kids' hands. They're not going to be against it.
It works in conjunction with the traditional right-wing, left-wing sort of dynamic.
Exactly, and you're actually appeasing to both at the same time.
If it was tabled before, it'll go tabled again. It's not going to go through.
All right,
you're probably right.
Our last story of the day is I spent all 3 nights of
You
CES
spent
with
all CES going down on Kurt Schilling.
Darn it, special weekend.
Like, is his game company for real?
his game company is okay. First of all, people. That's like the first reaction.
really.
Yes, no, his game company is totally for real.
And they're making an MMO.
They're
is.
making it. They're absolutely making an MMO.
And it's brilliant.
It's nothing. So that's the rest of it. Right now,
wow,
it
that
is
sounds
nothing.
brilliant.
I'm so excited.
Well, tell them the release date.
The release date will, and actually, Kurt even explained that it's not even necessarily that. The target for this thing right now is 2010, which, given an MMO, even 2 years to put together broad MMOs is probably not enough. So he's like, if we're ready, then we're ready. Then if not, it's 2011.
Is it a
2011
baseball MMO?
No. So they showed us first
World
of all,
of Baseball.
They've assembled some folks, and I mean, there's been lots of people screaming that the people that they put in their team don't have any experience making any great games. They've made some mid-level titles
Such as?
like the Lord of the Rings.
The third age, the wonderful Final Fantasy
that was
console.
the EA.
Please,
yeah.
I wish I could have those 20 hours of my life back. That was among the worst.
And then
things.
the next thing
Oh
people
my
take
God.
shots at him for is that, I mean, the way this idea did actually come to fruition was that Kurt, who has contacts throughout the industry, because he's been a gamer. Dude's been a gamer since as long as I can remember. He's always been on TV with that stuff. He called up Ari Salvatore, and he called up Todd McFarlane, and flew them both out to St. Louis while he was pitching in a game, or pitching, during a series there, but not pitching. Met with them, and they cooked up the idea for getting this all together, and that was the genesis of them building the studio.
And Todd McFarlane, his close partnership with EA and Origin on Ultima Online: The Second Age, that really worked out really well. He's a really great partner. And Todd McFarlane's Evil Prophecy, another winner.
Right. I mean, here's the deal.
And all these Spawn
I had to beat
games,
that
of
game
course.
too.
Here's the deal. It's like why you should be excited about Kurt Schilling making a game, or why Kurt Schilling has no business making a game. And I'm not really sure which one it is. None of us are yet.
It just feels like he looked in the mirror and he's like, you know what? I'm not getting enough exposure. I need to get out there somehow.
Oh,
really?
no, that's totally erroneous.
That was sarcastic.
Whenever I saw
the dude's a media whore.
When I saw it,
he is totally not a media
It seemed
whore.
to me
Damn right I'm a Yankees fan.
also
And Kurt Schilling's a media whore.
Yankees right there. But no, like
you guys are insane.
It seemed to me, Garnet, that this
You
guy
guys are just being dicks at this
He
point.
really is.
Seriously.
He's a true fan, but just because you're a true fan doesn't necessarily mean you should make a game.
But first of all, he's not going to make the game. He's surrounding himself with people who
can't make a game.
Do you know that?
I haven't yet made a game.
Haven't yet
Have made games.
And he's only trying to
Have made games.
have made.
And in your estimation, because of a prior project, can't make a good one now.
Well, okay, maybe they can. Anything's possible. However, this is a very competitive marketplace.
It is a competitive marketplace.
And when we've seen a lot of big companies make MMOs that look a lot more promising than what we know about Kurt Schilling's game fail, does he really have a shot?
Yeah, I think he really does. I think.
Or are people just placating him because of who he is and in his ego?
At first, but why wouldn't you do that? Like, if he is in a position where he doesn't want to play baseball anymore and he's like such a big fan of these games and he has the money to do so, why the hell wouldn't you do it? If I was in his position, I was like, you know what, I really like strategy games.
Right.
Like, I would like to fund a strategy game. I have a basic idea for it. If it fails, do you think Kurt Schilling really cares if his MMO fails? Like, he'll just write it off. He'll just write it off as a dream that he got to do. It didn't work out. Big deal. And we go back to bitching about the next thing.
Yes, he cares about it, but the big part is financially he doesn't care about it. So let me tell you what he said about that point, because you're exactly right. He said, you know what? I don't want to be a sportscaster. I don't want to own car dealerships. I don't want to be in real estate, and I for damn sure don't want to open a steakhouse. But I love games, and I sat down. This is Kurt talking. I sat down with my financial planner, and he told me a few years ago, look, Kurt, you're to a spot where no matter whatever happens in the future, your family and all of their siblings going forward for a very, very long time are taken care of. I mean, they're not going to want for anything. What the hell are you going to do when you stop playing baseball? And he said, you know what I want to do? I'd like to put together a game studio and make a game because I'm a gamer and I love gaming. And he's like, okay. So here's the difference. If you're a publisher and your business is dependent on surviving and making money off of building a game, it's a lot different as you're building the game and coming down to crunch time and needing to get your money out of it than if you've taken, venture capital that you're completely happy with losing. It's like when you play in the stock market. You're playing with money that if you hit, it's a beautiful thing, and if you lose, you're okay with that. It's much different when you're getting down to the end of the creative process and you say, you know what, we need 6 more months.
Yeah, and I don't think it's fair to hate on the guy because he's trying. I know it's easy to be cynical like that, but in his position, we would all be trying to do the same thing.
Right.
given like the amount of money where you can just do whatever you want, like why wouldn't you do whatever you want,
so
especially when it's something that's
Is it like a straight fantasy RPG?
It's oh my god, yeah, it's absolutely. So they showed what they call a tone video, which in art creativity circles this is where you take stuff.
Sizzle piece.
Yeah, exactly. It's where you take shit that's already out there and pull it together to like show what you're thinking about. You might do it in art, you might do it in comics. They chose to do movies, and the movie stuff that they showed, it was very nice.
Rockstar does that all the time.
Yeah, it's really common. It's really common artistic practice. I mean, it was very. They obviously love dragons. There was fuck tons of dragons.
Who doesn't?
I mean, there was.
Were there 2 dragons?
Of dragons.
Honestly, I know you're enamored with him, but was there anything in this sizzle piece and when he told you that gives this game an edge that would make you notice this game, if not for Kurt Schilling?
No.
So I think
Shane,
he should play up his celebrity more because his fans. Because his fans will follow this, and if you get 100,000 people to subscribe in MMO, it's viable.
The problem I think that they have
They won't
here.
stick around.
Yeah.
The problem they have
if he plays with them, come on.
Maybe.
The problem they have here is that any other studio wouldn't even have to be fucking around with doing these press tours right now. It's because of Kurt's name being on it and because of the amount of attention that immediately grabs that they have to go out at such an early time and start talking. I fully expect that now that they've done this stupid, okay, Kurt's making a game, dog and pony show, that they'll go dark until some time that they have something real to show us.
And in your estimation, the odds of this game being better than Hellgate are
90% given Hellgate's birthday. Sorry, Bill, but I mean,
wow.
I mean,
Wow.
Seriously, I mean, Hellgate kind of ran into it being a disaster. I mean, same thing, right? Same thing again. The business of EA and the business of flagship studios is making a game. Kurt Schilling's got the money. I mean, he's got the backing here. Potentially, can they make something good? I hope so.
Got till 2010. He's got
Yeah,
plenty. We don't know jack shit
Dude,
about
we'll come
the
back to
game.
it a long time. And let me tell you what, I got to tell you, on an aside, Kurt Schilling, you say that I was enamored with him? Yeah, because you know what?
He was a super nice guy.
He was incredibly nice.
I have no idea who he
Don't
is.
tell me
but he's
that.
a super
Don't tell me
nice
that.
guy.
Tell me he's an asshole. Tell me he was kicking little children.
He
Tell me
is
that.
Undoubtedly the nicest superstar person. I haven't met a lot of them. We sat
Did
on
he
a
do it?
couch. We
Did
sat
he-
on a couch, kicked our feet up, and just talked about shit for like an hour and a half.
Did he give you his bloody sock?
Dude, why you gotta be like that? He was really, really cool.
Exactly. That's how we're born.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. You know, I lived in Arizona during 2001.
All right.
How good for you.
Stop.
Hey, Garnet, I heard the coolest thing at CES was you eating a cheeseburger and throwing up. And I took you to Fatburger.
There was no puking
We
afterwards.
went to Fatburger at E3.
Wait a minute. First of all,
He didn't throw up.
You didn't
I never said throw up.
Oh.
I said he looked like he was on the verge of throwing up when he attempted to eat a triple stack, like everything on it.
Did it have
There
the
was
egg on-
no
did it have the
bacon.
egg?
No bacon, but it
not
had
only
egg.
did it have the egg, it had cheese, and it wasn't just a fat burger. It was a king. It was a triple king burger.
Jesus.
He got into a pissing match with Rob Bone over a game video.
Rob
Thought he could hang with the big boys, and actually Rob actually is a big boy.
It was
and
Matt-
was able to finish the entire thing, including an order of fries and a large drink. And we got terribly sick the next day from alcohol consumption. So
Dude, first of all, it was because Matt looked at the thing and saw it up on the board, and he's like, "I dare you to get that." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not getting that."
Matt Leone instigated everything.
And Rob's
Leoned.
like, "Rob's, if you get it, I'll get one."
Rob can eat.
And I was-
I've seen that boy
like
eat.
whole children.
It was disturbing. Like an hour. I felt like we were there like an hour, and I was able to barely eat half
At
the
your
damn
age,
thing.
I think you should be a little more concerned about your digestive system.
Oh, it was
It taught him a
brutal.
lesson the next day anyway.
Bran muffins for Garnet.
Positively brutal. All right, what are we gonna do next week? We got to come up with a good show for next week. So,
I got some plans. We'll figure something out.
and even better news for 2008, Andrew is back and permanently fixed behind the controls.
Wait, does that mean no more beeping or crackling or whining?
No more beeping.
All right.
It means the show should be a lot better. I'm really, really, I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to have Andrew back here with us. It's really great to have a full-time producer. It's a big deal. Big deal. You know where to catch us, boards.oneup.com. For Andrew, Shane, Patrick, and David, this is Garnet. Thanks very much for listening. We're out.